Okay, at what point in the film Groundhog Day, which we should do a watch, don't you think? Sorry, I'm sticking to the Velcro. At what point in the movie Groundhog Day does he accept the horrible and just like I don't know, like because I'm not there yet. Um, yeah, I wake up in this godforsaken hell. Sorry. All right, so let's talk about my day. So you guys saw the before just before the show. I had gone to the UPS. That's because there no oh boys another night of crying. Yeah, you try to make yourself laugh because let me see if I can. Hold on. Who's got, okay. Who's got who's got one hand and no sense of fashion? Yeah. Oh, there's a good one about a secondhand store. Like, if you see me at the secondhand store, I know it can't help. Sorry. It's a classic. We can work it out anytime. It's the title of the chapter tonight. At least, maybe even do more than that, but at least we start here on chapter 17. We can work it out. So yeah, this hair, this ponytail, I really struggled to put it up last night after the show. Last night. So I haven't moved it. I couldn't. I can't. My hand hurts worse now than it did yesterday. I struggle to brush my teeth. Oh god, I hate my life. Sorry, okay. So, mm, why is it going to Missouri? So the guy got back to me about the hard drive that dropped Grant's, the one that fixed the well, fixed the when my Mac got wet for my hair that night. Um, this is years ago now, but if you remember him, he he was able to recover the data that was on that computer because at the time I didn't save things on external hard drives. Now I'm gonna be backing them up on many, but anyway. So the guy Grant, at the time that he saved that Mac, it was a local store I found, and he was a very well recommended, like on like I think the Yelps or the like store, like the places that would recommend. So he finally got back to me with the business email because he was, I guess it was like away the automatic response till Thursday for away for the holiday. Great timing, Stell. Great timing. So what he actually did, which was nice, he said he doesn't have like all the equipment that he did when he was in the store because now he's on his own outside but he can do some things, but he couldn't do this. He said he gave my number to the best in the country, which is place in St. Louis, Missouri, and they got me the label, and that's why I'm like I wanted it out as soon as possible. But they said like I can fix this. This is not a big deal. They said it'll probably be over $300, but they said the times where it's like I can't guarantee it's like if a tank rolled over it or it really literally like in a flood. It makes me feel bad. It's like just because it's some of my videos, not all. I have a lot of drives of videos because I have so many. I've been putting them up like a few by day. I want to see. Maybe I should just ramp it up to doing like 10 every day. They've been like kind of at like random, but some of you like saying them. Um, and I put one up today in the membership. And John asked me. He said, "How?" Last night on an OF, and he said, "How can I do how can I join your membership? And I said, I think you go like on my page. But if and I got a new member too. Thank you. Um, or you click like Jerry. I'm sorry to call you out Jerry, but I know Jerry's a member. So Jerry has like a little special thing near him because he's a member. So you either click somebody that is a member. But yeah, and then you can join. So um click on Jerry if you want. Anyway, what else? So oh you yeah, so I the just internal torment, crying, um uh being used by millions of people does that to you. Someone gave me a comment. Well, actually, one of my like reposts. So I haven't had time to watch like any of my reposts at all, but it's a video and he's like a very sad life. I wish I could give him an award for that comment. Yes, sir. Yes, yes. Uh, you have stumbled upon the truth. A very, very sad life. So, but I did take something today. I took my multivitamins, an electrolyte packet, squeeze tube from Daryl, and what is it in the green packet, Daryl? Stress less with like chamomile, theanine, maybe. So maybe that'll help. Anyway, let's go. The other things. See, it's so hard to say this without shaking, and the shaking hurts so bad in my freaking neck. And I hit my head today too, actually. I was crying. I fell slam it. You guys know my headboard? Bang right here. Yeah, so that hurts down the old neck there. All right, so all right, let's shake. Let's do it. Let's get crazy. Um, a company in the US, although the people that do the tracking down of scanning, they're in Yugoslavia for them, that I don't know if they contract with or whatever, but they are based, I think they're out of San Diego. So I have both now. I'm working with the Rolta people, trying. I have to get my account still like approved. Like they take your money, but it was rejected before, like not verified enough that it's me. Hopefully that'll work this time. I want both of them, but the one in the US, I spoke with them on the phone this morning. Um, actually, because they would look through things and have a list of what not to take down and like anything else, please. So, sorry, just reading the chat for a second. I thought I would see how this works. How this works is I'm going to read to you, but first, just catching everyone up on what they may not know about since they seen me last. What because I had been working on all that stuff with the I don't want to shake the exploitation of me and the theft of my work. It's a little bit funny. This feeling inside. Like I want to go. I see Daryl. Hey. Terry almost ran out of fuel today. He just wrote me a message. I was like, what? I said, I'm so glad you're okay. He said, holy fuck. I love that phrase, holy fuck. I was a lucky man tonight. I almost ran out of fuel. Literally running on fumes. It's like scary. The engines started sputtering the last couple hundred yards before my workplace. The fuel gauge was right off the end and didn't even show a range anymore. There's more to this story and not my fault, but it doesn't matter. So, skin in my teeth, yes. So I still can't get on pantyhose, still can't get on underwear. Got my same socks from last night that were lying here. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't like care. I mean, I'm sure some part of me cares, but like I you ever see like a mouse in a maze and it's like a really big maze. Like I recently watched like maybe last month on Netflix a movie, the French movie, kind of sci-fi. It totally 100% sci-fi. But she's like running low on oxygen and um there's this great scene where you see like his white mouse trying to get my mind feels like it's looking for a path where not even out of the maze, but a little room, a little place that doesn't feel horrible pain. But, like, every thought I have leads back to, like, this is just, like, torment. So, uh, the the one I'm hoping to find is in reading this book to you and hanging out with you, and you can be my one little mouse dead end in the maze that I can hide in, or maybe it doesn't feel so bad. Um, I will say this, hopefully soon I'll be out of this problem. Like with the hard drive, it'll be some money, but what else is new? My hand, my God, will you please help me heal Miss freaking hand? Uh, that will be healed, right? 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 I don't know why it's hurting worse, but okay, whatever. Being used and exploited and stolen from, I don't know how I'll get over that. Like, if someone stole, like, a cookie from my lunchbox in the 2nd grade, I'd still be bitter about that if I could have afforded a lunchbox. I only got free lunch, and nobody wanted to steal the free lunch. So, I don't have that to say, but the, uh, the sentiment is there. I don't know how I'll ever get over this, and it's still happening to me as we speak. Isn't it that wonderful? And he's like the person that came on Christmas. How many days ago was that now? I haven't seen him since. It doesn't I don't think he gives a fuck. Um, he could write me. He could join my OF and write me, but he was, I guess, seen my this, so it doesn't care. I don't know. It hurts. It hurts. It all hurts. It all hurts, but yeah, there's your update. There's your update. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. I mean, to find that. To find that was my mother week. She entered a lot, but here's something interesting. Here's a fun fact. So your body made up of cells. Your cells are always like they're replicating, things that get damaged, you know how it is in your cells. They get they get old after a day or something. Um but with the stress, right? So like this is me, like this morning like that does a really fun trick on the body, which is that's actually how you cause like cancer. Like one of those cells kind of gets a mutation, like it kind of goes wrong actually because you're under so much pain and so much stress that things are haywire. Your immunity to fix that or to get rid of the one that's bad, it's because it's just so bad and just for so long and just so much pain. So thank you, fuckers. You may well kill me, yeah. But yeah, my mom died after a horrible life of constant pain and crying and misery. So strength is an interesting word. Um, yeah, because if it's how much you can endure, she could endure exactly 60 years. I shouldn't say exactly like 60 years and 3 months, so no, September, October. Yeah, less it's like 60 years, 3 months, like 24 days. Yeah. Sorry, it hurts to, cause like, I feel myself getting, like, weaker, you know? And it's like, I feel like sometimes I feel like my mom didn't, um like, her life didn't get to matter like she wanted it to, and neither did mine. Um, so I'm hoping, I don't have cancer. That's why like, I'm taking my vitamins and everything. But you feel it in the body, like, you want the stress to get to ease up a little bit. Um, cause like, um, things get things get haywire, so You are more beautiful without makeup. The important things. The important things. Yes. Yes. Well, that's good to know because I cannot do my makeup any longer. You will find uh it's impressive the amount of things that you benefit from having two usable hands. If you have two hands right now or two thumbs, consider yourself a lucky guy. Some of us, try not to flash you since I don't have no panties on. But I ran out of fuel 3 times. It's not fun. No, no. I got a peppermint mocha coffee. Our thumbs got us to the top of the food chain. They're pretty important. Put us. No, 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 no. It's our fucked up brains, isn't it? It's uh, it's our crazy minds. You know what I love about my mind? Like, it's like pain. It's like something painful. Like it just. Oh, thank you, Jerry. I love you too. It's like it just burrows there. Just burrows like permanent welding. Like gonna stay here forever until you forever. And it's like you try to work some you try to spend your life figuring out how to um not acknowledge it or see it or let it like imagine like some real fucking asshole living with you or something. Like so like size a Job of the Hut. Like you really hard to avoid. And he's also yelling at you like, hey shitbag, remember this horrible thing that happened to you? It's like yeah. It's like that's just the guy that lives here inside my mind all the time. And I can't get rid of ever. And but then imagine he's like starts like, yeah, man, I met a lady and like now we're having a bunch of kids and they all hate you too. I'm like, yeah, we hate you. Like, can you not? Can you? That's my that's my mind. I got like a job assigned to torment. That's yeah. So where does that put us on the food chain? Because like I don't know, the dogs have that. I live with my cat. Shut up, Terry. Shut up, Terry. Cats are wonderful. Shut up. Yeah, I wake up and so millions of people have used and exploited and robbed you. Can you shut up, please? No, no, I can't because actually you still gotta keep working on that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I do. You're right. Mhm. And I can't even say like, "Come here, Jabba, come here. I got the slave outfits and everything." Actually, I should. Never mind. Like, come, let's be friends. I ain't gonna be your friend. That's the point of me. I mean, there's no make peace with us. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The beat goes on. I call you guys. Ow. Mm, mm. Oh, I got a message from John. Hi, Stella. How are you doing? Settling and relaxing. I'm going to start watching the end of the show I missed last night because he goes to bed a little earlier. See you later. Well, when you see this part, John, know that I was thinking of you. And now I will begin to read to you. I wonder how many chapters are in this book. I don't really have to wonder. I can probably just look for it, huh? What's it? Ouch. Twenty-one. 21. So there's 5 chapters left in this book, which is only part 1 of the memoir. But here we go. Just days after leaving Sonny, he and I returned to CBS and stood side by side on stage. He smiled and said, "It's good to see you're back." "It's good to see my front, too," I quipped, gesturing to my revealing gown. Sonny shrugged and looked at my chest. "Same thing." That show ended up running very late into the night, but we were on point and so funny because the hurt never entered our relationship when we were in that studio. I swear to God, we were the best we'd ever been that week, especially in our spoof of the chiffon margarine commercials, in which Sonny played a man searching for the meaning of life. Life's a piece of shit when you look at it. Always look on the bright. Chiffon's catchphrase was, "It's not nice to fool Mother Nature." So, Sonny was shown climbing to the top of a mountain where I was sitting like a guru. When he asked, "What is the secret of life?" "Mother Nature," I replied, go fuck yourself. Can I just say it over and over right now until they just like, go fuck yourself? Sorry, I needed to get that out. Instead of my scripted line, Sonny collapsed in hysterics, and then I did too. We laughed ourselves so silly that everyone had to wait until we calmed down. When Art suggested we go again, Sonny quipped, not without lawyers, which set us off again, laughing so hard that everybody looked at us like we were nuts, which we were. Sonny called my walking out on him my Nagasaki moment. A little over dramatic. For which he presented me with a full body suit. Here's the problem. I can't pull it up. I can't pull up a leg. Like I can't do it right now. You know, with the broken hand and all. So this one is like is a loose, and then you did the zip right here. So it's not to be like pulled snug. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry. I love how gorgeous my hair looks right now. I could go to the Golden Globes like this. For which he presented me with an 18-karat gold dog tag engraved with that and the date. Whoa, and the date. There had been wild media speculation about our having a fight and his beating me up at the Sahara, but they could see from looking at me that Sonny hadn't hit me, and by our demeanor that everything was fine. Some people thought we must have been acting happy in the shows immediately after our split, but the rapport what we still had on stage wasn't a lie. You can't fake that shit. We were always Sonny and Cher, even when we weren't Cher and Sonny. I had to rib him mercilessly as I had always done, and he'd become the natural clown that was hidden under all that El Primo bullshit. The zanier the sketch, the better we were. For those few hours in the spotlight, immersed in the work, we were having fun again. As the weeks passed, I began to lead the kind of independent life I'd longed for. I felt vibrant and loved dressing how I liked without asking permission. I was a strange combination of sophisticated and naive. I had traveled all over the world. Aren't we all, honey? I had traveled all over the world in a bubble. Now everything was an adventure. I remember the first time I went to the market by myself, which I hadn't done in I don't know how long. I wandered the aisles, oohing and eyeing at everything I picked up, whatever I felt like. Oreos, Snickers, Ruffles. They have Ridges. And Dr. Pepper, a staple. Beyond that, I had to get all the basic things. Bread, milk. What happened? What? Just a thought, but you can fake tattoo someone's name on your body for a video and charge to do it, then you'll get back money. Oh, sweetie, Eldred J. Grant. Wow, I have some words for you. If you spend a fraction of the amount of time that I'm sure you spend searching out various shitty women and shitty fucking clothing and coming up with horrible ideas about tattoos, if you spend a fraction of the time you spend doing that, trying to be like, I don't know, like kind and sympathetic, empathetic to me, it go a long way. Because, like, I'm kind of going through hell right now. And there's nothing uglier than fucking a woman that has fucking tattoos. So that's not really something I'm aiming for. Let me think. Anything else to add? Anything else to add? Oh yeah, go to hell. Okay. Beyond that, I had to get all the basic things: bread, milk, sugar, olive oil, all the things I tried to remember that I hadn't even thought of in years. It sounds stupid, but I had been busy working. And when we hadn't had any money, Sonny had done all the cooking. When I got to the checkout, the woman added up all my stuff and handed me my receipt. I signed it, all my love, share. The lady picked it up and laughed. Polly teases me about it to this day because she's so used to signing that she didn't think that is funny. When I had free weekends, which wasn't that often because I was still working most days, Bill would fly in to see me and we'd stay at my place in Malibu. We talked for hours and really got to know each other. It was so nice to be with someone who asked what I thought and was interested in sharing experiences with me. That guy Bill's still around? Bill had a great sense of humor and was easy to be around, and sex was like I wanted to call the newspaper and say, I found this amazing new thing. In many ways, Bill was the polar opposite of Sonny. And one way in particular was very fun for me. Bill loved to kiss. He was tall with a sweet smile and a Texas accent that reminded me of my family. Mama had a Texas accent. Daddy had a Texas accent. I grew up with that accent. Oh my God, speaking of like Texas, and have you guys seen, I've been seeing clips of like Beyonce's performance from Christmas where she had like a whole halftime show, which was great. But when she did Texas Hold'em, and she looked so beautiful, just like in her outfit and all the dancers. But her daughter, that Blue Ivy, there's like clips of just like her, and not just her because she's right next to her mom. And she just looks so much, the God bless, I mean, thank the Lord for this. I mean, come on, you've seen her dad, right? Come on. But she looks so much like her mom. I literally got a tear looking at her. I was like, girl, you did so good. And she was dancing right next to her mom. Anyway, do yourself a favor if you haven't seen it. Yeah, you saw the halftime show. Oh, it's good. Okay. I was a few years older than him, but in life experience, I was younger. He would tell me about his life growing up and his brother Warren, who had a great voice and who I later hired as a background singer. There was no tension, no rules, and no pressure. For the first time in 11 years, I could wear perfume and listen to music. I didn't have to worry. Did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Did I laugh too loud? Once we were planning to go to a movie, and Bill asked me, what do you want to see? I broke down in tears. It was almost impossible for me to believe that question had made me cry, but Sonny had never asked me that before. And in all the years we were together, I had only one good movie experience with him, The Graduate, and Billy Friedkin had taken us. Bill and I weren't supposed to go out in public together, but I broke the agreement for a very special cause. At my new place, I didn't have anything to play music on, which was fine because I didn't have any music. So Bill got the player and we went together to Tower Records on Sunset for cassettes. We started walking through the store and he went ahead of me. At some point, he realized I wasn't behind him and he called out, "Where are you?" When he found me, I was lost in cassette land, picking up every tape on the shelf. I hadn't been in a music store in years. I spent over $600, over $4,000 in 2024 dollars. And we'd go back every couple weeks whenever a new album came out. We had a chest at home where we'd keep the cassettes, and at the end of 2 months, it was full. I remember buying the Beatles, James Taylor,
the Doobie Brothers, and in particular, Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. Bill and I didn't get to spend as much time together as we'd have liked because I was often at the studio and he was working wherever he could. I also tried to be home with Chaz every night for her dinner and bath, so I only ended up seeing him once or twice a month. He had his own apartment in the valley where he could stay when he wasn't with me in Malibu. I visited him there only once. I never really did drugs, but Bill sometimes would smoke weed, and most people I knew at that time, and I decided I would try some. I had one hit off his joint, and I felt pretty fine. He had to go pick up something, so I said I was okay to stay there by myself. While he was out, his roommate's girlfriend came in and lit a joint of her own. She offered it to me, and since I felt okay after the first hit, I took it from her and took maybe three more. Then I started to feel really funny, so I went into Bill's bathroom and took a hot bath. That's when I heard Sonny's voice say, "See, I told you something bad would happen if you left me. I hope you're satisfied." At that moment, I was anything but satisfied. Oh, great. She's got her own head Jabba. Besides my weekends with Bill, I was still living in the big house with Sonny so I could be with Chaz as much as possible, which worked out surprisingly well. The house was huge and we had two master bedrooms that we were on opposite wings of the house. That's so awkward. It sounds like Sonny's assistant Connie moved in with us, which wasn't unusual, and the other assistant, Sharon Wixom, was staying in the house. Connie had a sweet girly voice and looked very unassuming. She'd wear her hair pulled back and dress in modest, kind of unattractive clothing. Chaz and I both really liked her. It sounds odd, but when she went from Sonny's live-in assistant to his live-in girlfriend and started dressing entirely different, I still loved her. I'm sure she never thought we'd become friends, but strange as it seemed, we got along. There was plenty of room for all of us to have space in the 12,600 square foot house. Sonny said he'd heard too much music in his lifetime and wouldn't even listen to classical. So Connie would run into my room, lock the door, light a cigarette, and listen to whatever I was playing. Chaz would come in too sometimes, and we'd swear her to secrecy. What happened in the girls' room stayed in the girls' room. Sonny and I were becoming friends again. One morning I came down to breakfast and he surprised me by saying, "You know, after you went off with Bill that night at the Sahara, I seriously thought about throwing you off our balcony." He laughed a little at that, and so did I. It was crazy that he was telling me. He went on, "I figured I'd plead insanity like Spade Cooley and get 7 years in jail before they released me. Then I'd get a book deal and my own show." "Oh, you did you?" I replied. Well, there would have been no need to push me because I was going to jump. Within seconds, we were howling. No one watching our response to what had been the darkest moment of our marriage would have understood. I didn't think for a minute that Sonny would have actually pushed me off the balcony, but I'm sure it crossed his mind. And he knew that jumping off had also crossed mine. What else could we do but laugh? On the show, the writers came up with a new character for me that became one of my favorites. Her name was Laverne, a raving bitch who was always at the laundromat. She became our audience's favorite too. Terry Garr played her friend Olivia brilliantly. Bob Mackey and Rhett Turner helped me pick out Laverne's look, choosing a tiger print jumpsuit, diamante cat eyeglasses, and an enormous ass. How you fit in today? We decided her hair should be a bad version of Lucille Ball's characters in her show I Love Lucy. So a big red wig was made with a mess of curls and visible undyed roots. On my feet, I wore horrible clear plastic heels with fake goldfish or some other cheap novelty embedded within. Bob also found some luminous plastic earrings the size of golf balls to clash with my tacky giant beads and bracelets and an awful stretch belt that went around my waist and accentuated the huge stomach and ass that he'd built into the costume. I put a pepperoni stick in Laverne's purse for her to pull out occasionally and nibble on. Okay, hold on. Do I got a notebook? I need to write this down. I never even thought of keeping pepperoni sticks in my burrs to nibble on. I do keep Pez dispensers though. My character was almost ready to face her public, but I still couldn't get her voice right. Despite trying out several different accents, I always ended up as Edith Bunker from All in the Family. Standing in the wings before I went on for the first time, I saw one of the stagehands chewing bubble gum and said, "Hey, buddy, got any more?" I folded 2 pieces into my mouth and Laverne was brought to life. After examining myself in the mirror and declaring myself gorgeous, I was off. Everyone loved the character, and she became a regular feature at the Laundrette. Was the only sketch we were able to shoot in front of the live audience because the set for it was small and there were only 2 characters. But it made the segment especially exciting for us and for the people watching. I could play Laverne so over the top, you could never go too far with her. Now that I was a free woman, I got in touch with Joe D to invite him back into my life. I missed him terribly and wanted him to know his goddaughter Chastity better. Despite his ongoing legal battle against us after he was fired, Joe was thrilled to hear from me. He knew that Sonny and Irwin had lied to me and I hadn't been able to call him before. Sonny and I were still, quote, together in the eyes of the public. So when he accepted an invitation to an election party hosted by Jack Benny at his wife Mary's house, I went with him. The Republican President Richard Nixon was running against Senator George McGovern. Sonny and I were both for McGovern. I've always been a Democrat. My mother was a big traitor that year, putting up Nixon signs on her and Gilbert's front lawn. Even though she never could have actually agreed with Nixon's policies given her social beliefs. Gilbert was a Republican, as most business people are. I ripped the signs out of the grass and threw them in the big trash cans in the garage. That season, we had Ronald Reagan, then governor of California, on our show, which I hadn't been too happy about either. Sonny had presented him with the coveted Bono Award, a mock-up of an Oscar with a huge nose and a mustache. "It's made up exactly in my image," Sonny told him proudly, to which I added, "It's even the same size." He was quite a pleasant as a guest, but after all, he was an actor. Jack Benny's election party was attended by Lucille Ball, Johnny Carson, and a host of other famous names. We sat in rows of seats set up in front of a large television set as we waited for the results. Listening to the pundits for what seemed like hours, I started thinking, fuck this. I don't want to be here. Lucille was clearly bored too because as the votes started coming in, she began making wisecracks about the windbags giving commentary on what each update meant. She was being so funny and irreverent. If you knew Lucy, she was a balls to the wall, kick-ass chick, not taking anything from anybody. I had known her since I was little, but this night she got me in trouble. I couldn't help but giggle at her commentary, knowing that I wasn't supposed to only crack me up more. And as her snide comments continued, so did my laughing, which annoyed Sonny, especially since Johnny Carson was in the front room with the Ford sisters. I love that, like, people that can, like, make jokes at, like, I could just see myself laughing, too. You know what I mean? Like, I could see myself, like, cracking up if she's, like, like, whispering, like, things that are horrible. Before too long, Johnny Carson complained to Jack Benny's wife about the disturbance, and I was sure Lucy was going to be told off. And then I realized that nobody was going to say a word to her because she'd have neutered them. Everyone was terrified of Lucy. I, however, was a different thing altogether. Like a naughty child, I was banished to the den, so I wandered away and closed the door behind me as Lucy turned and gave me a wink. As I walked in the door, I saw Rosalind Russell sitting on the couch alone. It took my breath away. She was one of my heroes. She's been one of my favorite actresses because she did everything, including Auntie Mame, which I think I've seen about 5,000 times. Not actually, but you know what I mean. She played working women of all different walks of life: a judge, a lawyer, a newspaper woman, etc. She was a great role model and an amazing actress. At 65, she was still beautiful. I said hello somewhat shyly and sat next to her on the sofa, wondering what we could talk about. Leaning in, she said one of the most memorable things anyone has ever said to me. You know, Cher, I've watched your show and you're funny and talented. I'd keep going with that if I were you. Just as with my acting coach, Jeff Corey, this 4-time Oscar nominee, winner of 5 Golden Globes, and Tony winner, saw something in me. And I never forgot her words. I had a little repository in the back of my head where I kept my affirmations. First from my mom, then Jeff Corey, and now Auntie Mame. That holiday season, Richard Avedon shot me for the cover of Vogue wearing eyelashes like tarantulas. It was my second Vogue cover that year. Richard had shot me in April modeling bathing suits by Erez. Using one of these pictures for the cover had defied all convention. I was thrilled only to find out later it was by default because Doc, the man who picked the covers, didn't like anything else offered that month and decided to take a chance. A win is a win. As I was growing into myself, Sonny started to change in small ways too. He no longer had the pressure of pretending to be a husband, and it put us back in an arrangement more like when we first met and were just taking a sip of my coffee. That's right. When we first met and were just friends without expectations, it was easier to enjoy each other's company. One morning, he surprised me by asking, "You want to go to Paris for the weekend?" Now, this is another thing that people won't understand. After all we were going through, I laughed and said, "Sure." I think we stayed in the. Thank you, MM. Thank you for your first super chats on a live stream. That's your first. Thank you. I laughed. And said, "Sure." I think we stayed in the Raphael, which was a cool hotel, but not fancy. We went around visiting the sites, going to lunch and dinner and shopping. I remember I bought something at Kenzo. It wasn't exactly like the old days, but it was like a different version of his personality from the old days. He was funny and playful. Back at our hotel, he took a bath while I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, my feet up on the bathtub, looking at him facing me. "Girls these days won't put up with your shit," I told him. "You're going to have to change. You can't treat modern day girls the way you treated me. They're not going to stand for being told where they can go or how to dress or if they can wear perfume or listen to music. They're not going to take that shit from you like I did." But as it would turn out, they would take that shit from him. He just found young girls and gave them gifts to distract them. It was always the same. First, diamond studs, then a Porsche 914 if they stuck around. And if they became serious, he'd upgrade the Porsche to a 911 Targa. Very few made it long enough for the Targa. Oh gosh. Oh my god, this could be like a movie. Peppermint mocha, yes, peppermint mocha right here. Every time I try to explain that trip to someone, they say they can't understand how I did it or why I did it. It's not easily understandable. It doesn't make sense. The nuances are too convoluted, but at the time, it felt completely natural and normal. We were just two best friends having a good time, but whoa, did I have something coming. In January 1973, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Musical or Comedy Series, and we were invited to the ceremony at the Century Plaza Hotel in LA. It was one event that I was more than happy to attend because of my love of movies, and especially of the winning film The Godfather, based on my favorite book of all time, brilliantly directed by our friend Francis Ford Coppola. Has anyone ever read The Godfather, like the book? Like, how does it compare to the movie? Like, is it worth reading? Like, I don't think I'd read it to you because I think so many people already have read it, but I'm just curious. I wouldn't be seen dead in real. You think it would have to have been really good, though, to have made it into a movie. Yeah. Anyway. As I said before, I wouldn't be seen dead in real fur now, but times were different then. We didn't win, but Marlon Brando won Best Actor, although he boycotted the ceremony and refused to accept it in protest of U.S. imperialism and racism. Other winners that night included Cabaret, starring Best Actress winner Liza Minnelli. I'm sorry, but that Marlon Brando, you got up there on your high fucking horse, but like literally the reason that they have, what do they call them? Intimacy coordinators is for people, if you can call them that, like him, that literally essayed somebody in an actual movie. Like, but sure, you're better than everybody that like went to the freaking Golden Globes. Yeah, so. And Diana Ross won New Star of the Year for her role as Billie Holiday and in Lady Sings the Blues. I clapped so hard for my friends and fantasized about getting my chance to walk to that podium one day. For a break from Los Angeles, Paulette and I flew to Hawaii, where Bill was meant to join us. Oahu was really different back then from how it is now, with few high rises and not many houses built into the hill. The next time I went back, I was shocked. There were so many houses you could barely even see the hill. Polly and I had a great time together. Mostly we lay out on the beach and soaked up the sun. I remember coming to Hawaii years before with Sonny to perform. We ran into an old couple. They seemed very old at the time, but in retrospect, I'm not sure how old they really were. They were coming to our performance and I had stopped to talk to them, which is weird, a weird quirk of mine. Sometimes I'll stop and talk with people I don't know. My mom was like that. Like every time we go to like an amusement park, she would like make friends with the people in front and then know like all about their life. Meanwhile, like I can't talk to like the person at Target threw me into a full-blown panic attack. Oh, by the way, that's another thing. I tried to write them. They had me on the hold with the like the text chat because they make it really hard. They don't want you to complain, but I'll freaking find a way. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like I remember at Six Flags, you get people that your parents. Well, I just had one parent, like, that would hold your spot in line, and maybe make you go get a soda or something. I don't know. You come back with the soda, and my mom would like know these people. Like, it didn't have like cell phones back then when I was a little kid. We wouldn't get like a cell number like you're beyond the phone in line. Probably nowadays, I bet parents do that. But anyway, I just always thought like, but also she'd be drinking, like, and I wonder if that loosens you up. Where that was another quirk of hers. She was an alcoholic, so. But yeah, anyway, that reminds me like what she's saying about, yeah, that's a quirk of mine. Like I just talk to people. Didn't read the book, but the movies are excellent. Yeah. Terry haven't watched the movies? Oh my god. I know Arthur has. He likes that. What's his name? Anthony. Besides the rain ruining their trip, At their age, they couldn't really run around the island or go swimming out in the water. It showed me something about waiting, and I thought about it a lot. I was happy that they were excited about coming to see us. So they had at least one fun thing they could do. When Bill arrived, I was so happy to see him, but then he said he'd been thinking it over and what he really wanted was to get married and for me to move back to Texas with him. I told him, I love you, but I'm not divorced and I have a child. I've been married my entire adult life and I don't think I want to get married again. He was really upset and I couldn't do anything to fix it. Paulie had this friend, Barry Hilton, who had a yacht. So we got on it and sailed to Maui. I left Bill a letter. Years later, somebody asked me if I left Sonny for another man, and I told them no. I left him for another woman, me. I think that that's a big part of what makes Cher like inspirational to a lot of women is like if she could do it without Sonny, if you could make it, then maybe they could, if they're like in a bad spot or just, not everybody can make it on a solo, you know. Let's see. The second season of the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was ending that March, and Sonny was confident CBS would push us for season 3, which would carry us until spring 1974. On our second to last episode, we had one of our most impressive guests, Captain John Spike Nasmith, a 32-year-old American pilot who'd been held captive by the Viet Cong for a hellish 2,355 days over 6 years during the Vietnam War. Oh my God, that's a long time. I hope they gave him some of that, what do they call it? That pho? Is that Vietnamese? Them noodles? They be making some good noodles. They got one of those. Oh no, pho? They got one of them pho joints around here, but I've never been. We were truly honored. He'd been released in February 1973 and a month later agreed to come on our show. Spike was gaunt with dark circles under his eyes. Oh, they ain't been giving him no pho. Under his eyes, but otherwise he seemed amazingly normal after his ordeal. And humbled, I clung to his arm. Our audience gave him a standing ovation, and when he could finally speak, he told us that he and his fellow prisoners had often talked about Sonny and me in their Hanoi Hilton prison and often sang some of our songs to keep their spirits up. We thanked Spike on behalf of America and presented him with a gift wrap bundle of every album we'd recorded since he was captured. That was a special moment. At that time, Sonny and I had been wearing what were known as POW/MIA bracelets, nickel bangles. You go. Nickel bangles engraved with the names and service numbers of prisoners of war or those missing in action so that they not be forgotten. Mine had the details of Second Lieutenant Hayden Lockhart Jr., shot down in 1965. He eventually came on the show to get the bracelet from me. Oh, wow. He was a young, sweet man whose name is forever engraved on my heart. Wow, that must be really like mind spinning, Yeah, a variety show with music, but most of their covers really weren't that great. But they had some original songs that were good, and the good ones that were original, those were really the best. So I have to be honest with you, ever since I mentioned the Beyonce halftime show singing Texas Hold'em, half of my mind has Texas Hold'em stuck in my head. And so every time I'm looking for where I was at in the book, I keep going, one step to the left, One step to the right. I don't know why. I like that song, okay? And Blue Ivy like swing getting her mom in like in her arm and going around in like a do-si-do or what. Oh, it's so cute. Sorry. But her father's a bitch. And it must be said. Sorry. Doesn't she have twins too? I don't know if you see them much. So I'm putting on some lip balm I just found on the floor. Where were we? Oh, yes. Okay. In March, we marked Chaz's 4th birthday with a huge garden party. A celebration we both look forward to, along with Halloween, when Chaz wore costumes made by Rhett. For her birthday, there were pony rides and balloons. And we'd hired a clown, laughing at the memory of the day G dressed as a clown for one of Chaz's previous birthdays at St. Cloud. Almost melting in the heat in her makeup and wig, there was the traditional frosted birthday cake from Ralph's, and Joe D came at my invitation. Polly, Chaz, and I were all thrilled. It was the first time we'd seen Sonny since they'd fallen out. I was relieved when everyone behaved politely and nobody died. Well, that's good. You'd probably have liabilities at the house, Carol Burnett came with her 4-year-old daughter, Erin, and all the other kids were agog because they thought of Carol as much more famous than we were. Oh no, your knee. Oh no. Oh man. I'm so sorry, Jerry. And it's like, what can you do? Like, you have to bend your knee to do any like walking, really, don't you? That's like our body is designed to activate the knee, your joints, and then all the. Like, I find out the pain in my thumb being dislocated a lot. If it is not just in it getting like ripped out of the joint, but like all of the inflammation, like all the things that it got pulled. Like, so now it makes me wonder what is wrong, like in yours, how they can relieve that pain there for you, I know there has to be something. You're not stupid. I saw Kardashians have ridiculously over-the-top kids' birthday party. And that's a tax deduction. Some people, you don't even need to be like rich and famous. Maybe, but if you have like a business, you ever hear like one of your boss say has like a big, like 70th, 80th birthday party at their house or something, and people are invited. That's because that's a tax write-off. You want to have a party anyway, but if you invite enough certain people, you write that shit off. Anyway, that's what the Kardashians are doing because they cheap and thought it was a new thing. The rich and shares neighborhood, yeah. But she wrote that shit off too, I'm sure. This is a business expense, darling. Okay. Mm-hmm. Award season continued with the 45th. Oh my God, 45th. What are we up to now? Academy Awards at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, which was as star-studded as ever, with presenters including Merle Oberon, Rock Hudson, and Jack Lemmon, and Clint Eastwood. Liza won Best Actress for her amazing performance as Sally Bowles in Cabaret. Life is a cabaret, old friend. Come to the cabaret. And to our oh, I wish I could remember all the words. Stem cells. No, but knee pain, like, think about all of the athletes, right? Professional athletes, they must have so many knee injuries. What are they getting? What are they taking? Like, what people do that have their knee busted in like a motorcycle accident where they fall off and hit their knee on the cement? Like, there has to be something to help him, you know? I'm going to just pray for the answer to come because it's there. Don't give up hope. Liza won Best Actress for her amazing performance. And to our delight, our friend Francis Coppola won Best Adapted Screenplay for The Godfather. Well deserved, which also won Best Picture. Sonny and I were asked to present the Oscar for Best Original Song to the composer of The Morning After from the movie The Poseidon Adventure. This was the first time that the Oscars were broadcast internationally, so the eyes of the world were upon us. Dressed in shimmering gold, full-length beaded skirt and crop top that showed off my tan, still one of my favorite outfits. I stood at the podium and complained that Sonny never took me out. In a carefully scripted reply, he said that was because I claimed I had nothing to wear. That's right, I replied, looking me up and down, my midriff exposed. Sonny nodded and added, "And you're wearing it." The audience laughed. It's funny. Oh my God, can you imagine someone showing their midriff? And could you imagine someone showing their calves? I think people wear crop tops because, like, it makes like their stomach gets itchy. It makes like when they sit down, they probably have like, you know, you have like a crease when you sit down in your stomach. Maybe not Terry, he has abs of steel, but like, and they want to itch their stomach creases, and that's why they wear crop tops. So she probably had itchy stomach too. I don't really have that problem because like I lay down a lot, and also I use lotion. But I feel bad for people that have to do that. That's why you wear your shirt. That's why you wear a kilt. Things weren't so simple at home. I was having trouble navigating our life. It was one thing to do it and another thing to understand it. Sonny suggested I see someone to talk about what I was feeling. He signed me up for sessions with a therapist in the valley. I don't remember much about him. He was fairly generic, but I told him all about Sonny and our life together. Hoping he could help, I explained how lonely I'd been and how I couldn't go anywhere or do anything without his permission. He had me delve deeper into the collateral damage of my childhood, too, which was just as hard to deal with as my marriage. It was only much later that I learned that the shrink was reporting everything I said back to Sonny. I remember this when I found out. I screamed at Sonny, "How could you do this?" And he didn't even have an answer. I still find that to be incredulous. Isn't that an extreme betraying someone's trust? Having their therapist tell you everything they're saying? I was furious. I felt violated, like I've been raped. It made me feel like I had before, as if there was no way to protect myself. Now that is violating. I soon learned that Sonny going behind my back had started much earlier in our relationship. Joe D admitted to me that throughout the time we were together, Sonny had been with dancers, actresses, waitresses, and even hookers in our home and on the road. You hear that? You hear that, all y'all Sonny apologists out there? You hear that bullshit? Now, he'd get an extra room and he'd enter by passing out a side door in our suite. through Joe D's and into a girl's who would wait for him after I went to bed. After hearing this from Joe D, a couple of the women themselves started crawling out of the woodwork. They told me Sonny said we were in an open marriage and that I knew. I think what shocked me the most was that aside from the time I caught him in the house with our secretary, I'd never had the least bit of suspicion. I couldn't imagine where he found the time. In the coming years, as more people told me the truth, they'd say, but you must have known. You had to. Everybody knew. Well, I didn't. In May, I recorded my second solo album, Half Breed. Oh, I love that. Half Breed. All I ever known or all I ever heard. As a part Native American, I love that song. Since the day I was born. With Snuff Garrett back producing. That fall, the title track would become my second number one hit as a solo artist. After I finished recording the album, Sonny and I went back on the road for a grueling summer tour of mainly one-night gigs. Paulette and Ridgway were part of our crew for this run, and I was happy to have my friend with me. I also started talking more with our pianist, David Page, who had been around for years. His father, Marty, was our orchestra leader, so I knew David even longer than the 2 years he'd been in the band. He was so sweet, and it was nice to have someone care about me again. We'd hang out and flirt with each other innocently. It was friendship that became physical and then became friendship again and only lasted for that tour. One night, we were all staying in a motel in a small town in Iowa with a playground for kids out back. Paulette, David Page, Jeff Porcaro, Steve Porcaro, David Hungate, Steve Lukather, and I wandered out to sit on the swings because it was still so early in the evening. We were talking and swinging, just hanging out like kids, some guys smoking weed, but not really doing anything, just bullshitting in plain sight. We'd done a good show and we were just relaxing and talking afterward. I can't emphasize enough how innocent this moment was. I went up to my room feeling good, but then Paulette came in telling me all hell had broken loose. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but she said Dennis had gone down and taken the guys apart separately to threaten them. He'd become like Sonny's capo Bastone. He told David that if he wasn't careful, he'd get his fingers broken, and Jeffrey that he'd get his Porsche blown up. I fell asleep wondering what the hell was going on. Sonny was being old school Sicilian. In many ways, old school Sicilian is sexy. This wasn't one of them. The next morning, I discovered that the band had all stopped talking to me under threat of being fired. More than that, Sonny had sent Chastity home with our nanny, Linda, so I wouldn't even have her for company. I thought that Sonny having control over me was over. With everyone ignoring me, I felt completely alone. The minute I had nobody to talk to, I started smoking. Maybe because I needed something to do. I don't know. I just did it. I saw how quickly my freedom could be taken away. I had thought I was safe, and then I wasn't. It was deja vu all over again. There's your little, who said that from the Yankees? Who said that? It's deja vu all over again. I've known two Heidis. You keep a score count of Heidis, you know. And both were, shall we say, friend. I don't know what that means. They was hoes. Heidi hoes. That's what you saying? Yogi Berra. Yeah. The only person to talk to me was David Brenner, our comedian and friend, who spoke to me one time saying, I don't understand this, but I don't want to lose my job. That was it. Nobody else talked to me for the entire tour. Even Paulette didn't speak to me except for business. It took some time for me to forgive her. I was madder at her than anyone else who stopped talking to me because she was my best friend. In her defense, Polly was scared to defy Sonny, and she couldn't afford to lose her job. And she was dating a fellow employee who might have been fired too if she pissed Sonny off. It didn't help that Son had been coaching her on her troubled relationship with Ridgway, imparting his skewed wisdom. He told her to play hard to get and not even have sex with him, moving her into our suite to be certain she was complying. His ploy worked for a while, and Ridgway realized what he was missing. When I challenged Paulette privately about shunning me, she said, Cher, what do you want me to do? Everybody's terrified of Sonny. We have to do what he says or we'll be out. I hate cowards. I fucking hate cowards. It's like, you don't, especially like, just, like, what are you afraid of, you know? And even, like, just like stand for something. Seething quietly, I sometimes could no longer hide my anger, even in front of our fans. Once we were singing at a theater in the round, and I just turned my back on Sonny and kept my back to him the entire time we performed I Got You, Babe. Like I said, there's some more pictures here, so. And these are all color. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, I'll be showing these. Okay, wait, hold on. Is she naked in this one? At the end. Can't fake it. And that night I didn't. I sang to the audience. Then everyone got mad at me. Paulette told me, come on, Cher, that was dumb. They all thought I was being childish and should have been more professional. I felt so betrayed and thought, screw you guys. Sonny threatens to break someone's hands and blow up a Porsche, but me turning my back is out of line. I was so happy to get home. Yeah, go with that anger, Cher. It is wrong. They're doing you wrong. From that horrible tour and be reunited with Chaz, the love of my life. It was also a relief to return to CBS to prepare for season 3, the first episode of which was airing mid-September. Back in Studio 31, I felt immediately at ease and grateful to be back. As always with Sonny, once his anger subsided, everything went back to normal. As we started doing the show, everything was forgotten and Sonny was once again his funny, over-the-top self. But I felt more uneasy from then on because I didn't understand what we'd done that had made him so angry. Sonny and I returned to the Sahara in Vegas with Chaz and Linda, the whole gang. Our performances during those few weeks were recorded for posterity, as Sonny had cut a deal to release them as a live album. Sonny can be heard introducing the band in a wistful mood. He went on to tell the audience that he and I had been together for a decade and that when we started, we had very little. Then he spoke about our $85 piano and our old brass bed, adding, we had this philosophy that no matter how rough things got, as long as we had each other, everything would work out. Yeah, and you had every other hoe in town, didn't you bitch? There was a pause. The philosophy became a song, and then it became a record, and then it became us. And we'd like to do it for you now. Q, I Got You, Babe. Later, he introduced, you better sit down, kids, saying that the words always tugged at his heart because the lyrics were about a father who must tell his children that he and mommy aren't going to be together anymore. Looking across at me, his eyes glistening, he said, the toughest thing in the world would be to tell a little kid it's all over because they don't understand, because they think you're perfect. I don't know if his words were calculated to make me feel guilty, but that's how I felt. I'm sorry, that sounds like corny as hell. You better sit down, kids. Like, she knows. Okay. There were times where I could see in Sonny's face that he was nostalgic for how things were before. Even though he was the one who caused it to end, he had everything he wanted, or he had everything he wanted. I think he would eventually come to realize that I was the one who was always there for him, who loved him. And I think he loved me, just not enough to be faithful or kind. I still loved working with him, and I still loved parts of who he was, but I didn't know how to read him anymore. The truth is, I knew Sonny better than anyone, but sometimes I didn't know him at all. Chapter 18. And then there was David. And then it says, ... you raised me up. Okay. In December 1973, I was invited to the famous music producer Lou Adler's Christmas party. I told Sonny I was going to go, and he said, "No, you're not." I replied, "Yeah, and you can come with me or you can stay home, but I'm going." So we went together to Lou's house, and I ended up on the floor talking to Goldie Hawn, who was sitting there in a onesie. People were coming and going. I don't remember exactly who, but the two of us were having a blast on our own. And then this man walked in, and Goldie said, "David, come sit with us." I recognized him because I'd seen him with Ahmet Erdogan at the Troubadour the year before. He'd been so deferential to Ahmet, I figured he was one of his promotion guys or a publicist. The three of us talked for a while, and I thought, this guy's so great. He was so smart and funny. Everyone was attracted to him. The people kind of came over to where we were sitting and joined in. That's the first time I really met David Geffen, who 2 days later called to see if I wanted to have dinner. Somehow he got in my number. I don't remember how, but I said, sure. I was thinking, this is great. Everyone loves him. I can have a new friend. Driving to his house the next day, I read the directions he gave me for the first time and thought the name of the street was familiar. Then I realized that he lived 3 blocks from me on Copley Drive, which confused me. When I pulled up to a beautiful Spanish-style house, I was thinking, how does a promotion man afford a house like this? I rang the bell, and David opened the door, wearing a plaid cotton shirt and jeans with a telephone receiver pressed to his ear, the phone in his other hand, and the longest cord I'd ever seen trailing behind him. I would come to learn this was his go-to look. He said, "I didn't get a chance to take a shower." I thought that was funny, such random information. He made a gesture welcoming me in. Then he hung up the phone, and we walked through the living room into the dining room, and there was a Lou Adler. The boys sat at either end of the table, and I was between them thinking, this is kind of weird, but whatever. I guess I had assumed that when David invited me to dinner, it was going to be just the two of us, but it was nice to see Lou, and even though I was kind of surprised, I didn't dwell on it. I don't remember the entire meal, but it started with this delicious cold avocado soup, gross, which was something I'd never had before. After dinner, we went into the living room to sit on the couch. We all talked for a while. Then Lou excused himself, and it was just David and me. He started telling me his life story, and I started telling him mine. We talked all night. It felt so good to be myself without watching what I said. Oh, you gifted a membership. Oh, that's so nice. What does this mean? You could be a lucky... Oh, Jamie Nova. Congratulations. Oh, that hurts to clap. Congratulations. You are a member. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. And that's the first time somebody gifted a membership on my page. Sweet pie. Oh, where was I? Oh, yes, David Geffen. When I finally found out what David did for a living, everything fell into place. Yeah, Geffen Records. I realized he wasn't one of Ahmet's promo guys. He was his protege. David was a genius in business and had founded Asylum Records, which had recently merged to become Elektra/Asylum. He also managed, along with his partners Elliot Roberts, Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young, at the Eagles, Jackson Browne, John David, Joni Mitchell, Elton John, and Linda Ronstadt. Oh, Linda Ronstadt. You and I fell to the beat of a different drum. Can't you tell? But I love how I decided to attempt singing everything tonight, even though I can, like, my voice is like broke from crying. I don't give a damn. You make eyes at me. Okay. I was starting to realize what a huge titan he was in the industry. At one point, while we were talking, Joni Mitchell let herself in the front door and passed through the living room on her way to bed. She was on to form, or she would go on to form Geffen Records and sign Guns N' Roses, John Lennon, Donna Summer, Peter Gabriel, Aerosmith, and myself. To this day, I've never met someone who loved his business and artist the way David did. He was a new breed of record executive. He kind of treated them like his children. Yeah, Geffen Records. Okay. By the early hours of the morning, I felt like I'd known David my whole life. He was kind and giving and shy. He was my new best friend. David didn't want me to leave, but it was so late and I had to be at CBS in a few hours. I had just enough time to run home, take a shower, and go straight to the studio. David invited me to come with him to Robbie Robertson's house the following night. Bob Dylan and his wife Sarah would also be there, as well as Libby Titus, and David was trying to sign Bob. Okay, I replied, feeling suddenly happy. He walked me out and kissed me goodbye on my cheek. When I got to work, Sonny wasn't happy that I'd been out all night, but I was my own person by then, or at least my own semi-person. The following night, David picked me up to drive me to Robbie's place by the ocean. Talking the whole way, he was always the smartest one in the room, and I never met anyone who could outtalk him. We stopped to get gas, and while we were sitting there, he turned to me and said, I told my psychiatrist today that I thought I was in love with you. I thought, oh, fuck, this is going to ruin everything, and scooted all the way over in my seat until the door handle was pretty much in my ribs, as if that was going to change anything. I had thought I knew what things were going to be with David, that we would be friends who lived around the corner from each other, but he kept surprising me. I didn't immediately see him differently, but that dinner in Malibu changed my feelings at least a little. When we walked in, Robbie and his wife Dominique, Libby, Bob, Sarah were seated around a wooden table that was covered in candles, so many that the flames lit the room and gave a warm glow to everyone in it. All David's friends were happy to see him, and they welcomed us to the table. It was like something out of a film. I remember looking at David across the table through the candles with everyone talking affectionately to one another and thinking, there's something special about him. We went back to his house after and talked a bit, but unlike the night before when I went to leave, I just looked at him like a deer in headlights and ran out the door without hugging him goodnight. I think David was kind of terrified because he thought I was going to kiss him, which was the last thing on my mind. The other night, he'd had Lou there to protect him from me, which I thought was hysterical when I found out because I never made the first move with a guy my entire life. I didn't see him for a few days after that because I was working. I really missed talking to him and being around him, and it made me realize maybe I have to rethink this. We didn't start dating immediately. We kind of slipped into seeing each other more often until we became completely inseparable. We were crazy about each other. I was his first relationship. Within days, he told his best friend, Sandy Gallen, I'm in love with Cher, which Sandy couldn't believe. We didn't tell anyone else and still couldn't be seen out in public together. So mostly we spent time at his house. Oh shit, Sonny's gonna be jealous. David was an early riser and went to bed much sooner than I did. I'd stay until he fell asleep. Then I'd get up and head home. Usually my timing would be so perfect that Joni would be coming back from the studio and I was leaving. or as I was leaving, and once in a while she'd play me a demo of what she'd done that day. One night we were sitting on the couches across from each other, and she said, Cher, you have this beautiful green light around you, like a gentle aura. Okay, but let's be real, Joni was probably on some shit at the time. She said it in a positive way, like she was really digging it. Oh, yeah, I bet. I thought, how cool. When her album Court and Spark came out, it was so weird. The whole time she was making it, we were just hanging out and talking about life. Then the album comes out and it's a huge hit, reaching #2 on Billboard. It was second to Bob Dylan's Planet Waves and followed by Carly Simon's Hotcakes at #3, both of which were also released by David's record label. Joni had written one of the songs in her album, Free Man in Paris, about David, and she really captured him in the evocative lyrics to that song. She also wrote in that song that David dealt with telephone screamers, which was true. He never had a temper with me, but he did when it came to business, in a genius way. He used to fight with entertainment lawyer David Braun, and I would hear them yelling. I don't know what they were yelling about, but David Geffen always won. I couldn't believe that kind, gentle man who always called me sweetheart could make so much noise. Once Sonny realized who I was going to meet all the time, he became very uneasy because everyone in the industry knew who David Geffen was. Yeah, I bet. Sonny didn't like that. I was seeing someone so smart and powerful, much more powerful than himself. The strain started to show, and Sonny began to change. Even at work, until David and I got together, Sonny and I had been getting along great, and it had seemed like things were back to how they used to be. Then, all of a sudden, the fun we'd been having on the show was gone. Maybe it didn't happen all at once. I don't really remember. But after David entered my life, Sonny wasn't the same fun, goofy presence he'd been on the show before. David was the most loving boyfriend I'd ever had, and he took great care of me because that's who he was. One evening, Tony Fantozzi came over to David's for dinner. Tony was the William Morris agent who'd handled Sonny and Cher and was so close with Sonny that they called themselves paisans. When Son and I first got picked up for that 6-week trial show period, we celebrated with Tony at a restaurant, and he'd taken a big marker and written on the paper tablecloth, "Here's to the beginning, the Sonny and Cher show, Fantozzi." Now, all these years later, he turned to me with a grin and said, "So, how does the Cher show sound to you?" Whoa. Yup. My immediate reaction was outrage. I was angry that I could hardly speak. It was the disloyalty that shocked me. This guy was supposed to be Sonny's close friend. It disgusted me and made me think, does anyone have any values anymore? Is it money over everything? Is that it? Truthfully, I never considered my own show. I couldn't believe he had the nerve to come to David's house and propose that to me. It hadn't occurred to David either. He was livid and immediately asked Tony to leave. I never spoke to him again. Besides Sandy Gallen, David's closest friends were Jack Nicholson, Angelica Houston, Toots, and Warren Beatty, who was then dating the British actress Julie Christie. Man, that guy dated everyone. What a whore. Thank you, Jerry. All of them seemed to understand that our relationship had to be kept quiet. The 6 of us had a lot of laughs together, especially with Jack, who's better known as Johnny to his friends. Although, when I saw Warren again, he was his own charming self. Doesn't Jack Nicholson have like dementia? Like, doesn't he have like something wrong with him? I don't know. He's not like out there as much to know. Every once in a while you get like a pap shot. When I saw Warren again, he was his own charming self, and I told him, "It's okay, Warren, we don't have to do this again." And we both started laughing. On February 14, I ran out to do some errands and a bit of shopping. I parked my car on Rodeo, and when I came back to it, I found a gift bag tied to my steering wheel. Settling into the driver's seat, I opened the bag and found a Cartier box with the most unbelievable diamond bracelet and a sweet note from David. I almost broke down and cried. It was the first Valentine's Day present I'd ever received, and sneaking it into my car as a surprise was so thoughtful. That, like, how he always made sure my car was filled with gas. Sonny and I never celebrated Valentine's Day in all the years we've been together. And yeah, he was probably getting Valentine's gifts for some other people, though. So I hadn't even noted the date. Sonny had given me expensive jewelry, but it always felt like a way to show other people the money he had, not something heartfelt for me. Sonny was loving and fun, but it wasn't really his nature to be romantic. David was, and he thought I was fabulous. I was the first person to share his bed and his life. Oh, he seems sweet. Yes, call and show tomorrow. Okay. With CBS about to pick up the option for another season, one day David asked me about my contract and how I got paid. I told him I didn't know because I never read it. It's about time you did, he replied, and somehow he got his hand on the document. I'm not sure how. He called me up after reading it and said, "Sweetheart, this contract is involuntary servitude. You work for Sonny. You have no rights, no vote, no money, nothing. You're an employee of something called Share Enterprises with a salary you were likely never paid and 3 weeks vacation per year. He owns 95% of the company and the rest belongs to his lawyer, Erwin Spiegel." It turns out that's what Erwin had gotten for getting rid of Joe D. Oh, shit. Yeah, we're loving guys, Sonny, huh? Wait a minute, I cried. That can't be right. Cher, I'm right. I promise you. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Then David started reading the contract to me, and sure enough, I couldn't even sign a check or withdraw any money without Sonny or Erwin's signature. Wow, that is fucked up. I was an employee of Share Enterprises with no ownership, so I couldn't access any of the money I earned for the company. Wow, thank God for David. We're definitely not going to finish this chapter tonight. Like, maybe not even on Sunday night because it's a long chapter. But still, this is shaping up to be a good one. Voluntary servitude. Hey, can you imagine working really hard and like your work being taken by someone else and like millions of people? And how about they're not paying you? Y'all understand where I'm getting at, you fuckers? Sorry. The rage comes back. Sorry. Could you imagine benefiting from someone's labor and not them? Yeah. Anyway, that meant not only did I have no money, I had no way to make money unless Sonny signed off on it. David told me the devastating contract had been created when Sonny and I were still together. It wasn't new. I remembered at some point Sonny had started having me sign pages that said Share Enterprises, but I didn't think anything of it at the time, except that Share Enterprises sounded cool. Everything David told me was a kick in the gut. I couldn't fathom that this was true. Stella, what has gotten into you tonight? I feel empathy whenever somebody is violated like this. I feel for her to find out in the shock of being used. And I feel for her, and I'm reminded how it's been happening to me, and it hurts. But when I read things, my mind analyzes what I'm reading, and that's what happened. How did he get his hand on that contract? She signed it. Oh, how did he get it? Huh. Well, I would imagine he has connections. Yeah. Like big time. Last time I saw Jack Nicholson was at a basketball game. Yeah. I think I saw like a picture of him like in the Daily Mail or something. Like like he was on his balcony. His hair was kind of a mess. Everything David told me was a kick in the gut. I couldn't fathom that this was true. I could understand the words. I just couldn't understand the meaning. How did it happen? How could Sonny do that in good conscience by being a user and not? I know, it's horrible. He'd been everything to me, and for some time, I'd been everything to him. Well, if it makes you feel any better, he needed the money to buy gifts for the women that were stuck in his. Wait, I probably can't finish that on camera. Sorry. Then it got worse. David told me I was locked into share enterprises for another 2 years. I was more heartbroken than angry. I couldn't even cry. What good would tears do? Instead, I sat in a state of incomprehension until I finally said, "You mean I don't have any money? I don't own one of the houses? What am I going to do?" "You don't have to worry about that now, sweetheart. We just need to get you out of this." Thank God I had David, because without him, I would have had nothing. I wouldn't have been able to take care of myself or my family. Sonny would have left me with my car and my clothes. As it was, he left me with my car and my clothes, and I had to buy the big house from him. Well, I had no money to buy the house. David was going to buy it. It took several days for the full horror to sink in. I'd worked my whole life, yet apparently I had nothing to show for it. I never for a second imagined that I needed to protect myself from Sonny, of all people. Yet the contracts he'd had me sign were secretly designed to strip me of my income and the rights to my own career. That's probably why she said that Sonny specifically hired a lawyer who he remembered by getting off the guy that was in the wrong, right? Or something like, but like the wrong guy winning in terms of like, yeah, justice. So how could she not see it? She was working. She had a baby. Then she was working a lot. Like her job, like on the show. I think her dancing, her singing, because he wasn't really the singer. What are you talking about? You don't believe that anybody could cheat on somebody and for them to not know right away? I believe me, it happens, unfortunately. And you don't know that he didn't buy those women anything. Didn't she say afterwards, like he'd buy people Porsches that he was with, so he wouldn't buy them anything? You don't know that. Anyway. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is that he's an a-hole. Okay. If she met David as Cheryl Lynn and not as Cher, do you think she'd be with David? She was over him, but what if she wasn't? Hold on, what? Sorry, guys. Well, as Cheryl Lynn, she met Sonny when she was like 15 or something. Let me see. You got to remember they're both still really young. Like even like David, this is like his first relationship. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they really liked each other, and I could see why they would like each other. Like I could see like him seeing something special in her, and like I don't know. I don't see anything too what's the word? shady, I just keep thinking, okay, so they're in California. California's community property state, although I don't know what it looked like in the 70s. All right. But it seems to me marriage is supposed to be like, you know how they have like a rule, like you don't have to testify against your spouse. And that law is because the government feels it is, how do I explain it? It's to the benefit of the government. It's to the benefit of the state for marriages to be strong, and so for a couple to feel they can confide in their partner and not be like, oh well, what if they'll sound like, it's interesting, but what I'm trying to say is I feel like to do that to the partner, it seems to me like you could legally challenge that contract by scamming out your partner like that, either way, doing it to your husband or your wife. Like, I don't know, but I feel like that's what David's going to look into here. For never get married in California. What are you talking about? It's like when Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey got divorced. And by the time they got divorced, she was worth more, quote unquote, financially than him, so to speak. And people were all upset, like, how dare he take more money? He helped build her up. That is the point of community property, is that what you built together is the encouragement that it's not like just all goes to Jessica. It's like, no, like he had a equal part in everything they built too. I feel like it's fair. It seems fair. You're so moody today, Terry, after almost running out of gas. You're a negative Nancy. But I didn't pick the exception. I don't know. Oh, all I could think of was what went through Sonny's mind the day he and Irwin drew up that contract. And what did he do afterward? Light a fucking cigar? Probably. In retrospect, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened after I came back from being with Bill and Sausalito and told Sonny and Irwin that I didn't care what the consequences would be if I left the show. All I can do is guess, but I know that that had really scared them, because what can you do if someone has stopped caring? Sonny was undoubtedly responsible for making us who we were, but it took me a long time to accept that he could never have achieved that without my voice and comic talent. It's hard to understand, but I don't think Sonny thought he was doing anything that wrong. I don't think he saw it. I think he separated it from himself, and honest to God, I think he preferred being the fun, goofy Sonny on our show to the cigar-smoking business tycoon. It had been like a self-fulfilling prophecy. He said he'd always thought I was going to leave him someday, a butterfly to be loved by all. Then he made me leave. It's just my guess, but it's an educated one. Sonny had his demons. There was something inside him that I could never understand, something that took him from being this fabulous, funny guy to being someone who would take everything from me. For years, I've racked my brain for how he could have done what he did, and I still can't get over it to this day. No, I could see that. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I understand, like, you're trying to imagine, did he decompartmentalize? Like, how was he able to do that? Oh my God, y'all. I don't even. you're only putting, like, you're only looking at the money. And I understand because a lot of this contract has to do with like money. But when they talk about indentured servitude, a lot of it's like what she can do with her career, and she has to work for them. Like that's a big part of it too. But I feel like you guys are caught up in the money. So, okay, let's acknowledge the money for a second. I don't know how old some of y'all's like moms or grandmoms are or were. Okay. But can you imagine a time where they give like their life, their limited time they have like in labor that they can do to have all these children, and maybe they even like teach the children, and they knit the children the blankets, and they cook dinners, and they just dedicate so much of their life to lifting up the husband as part of a family, a unit together, you know? And what's happened to a lot of times, not only this scenario, but I'm giving you an example. Maybe it's 20 years later, they get cheated on, they get left, and they have nothing. And I think that the state decided that, wow, do we really want all these moms to be poor and have nothing because they made the fatal error of taking care of their family? That they really fucked it all up in life by being a wife and a mother for 20 years, and now they're going to be homeless. Like, and because that's something that has happened to many of women, and it shouldn't be either way. Like, it works both ways. It's not a women law, like I said about Nick Lachey or whatever, but it's like, it's not just one-sided. If a man was to do like the same thing, but I feel like y'all are acting like, wow, these women should be on the street. Like, after you're done, like, breastfeed the kids, go sleep on the side of the road, you get nothing, bitch. Like, you know, there's a little more nuance to this, and I think you're missing the realities of why these laws would be in place, is because some pretty horrible things have happened, and women, like, and you know, I'm sure men in have their own situations, but a lot of times, a lot of y'all's like mothers, grandmothers, aunties, like if you think about it, have faced these situations, and I don't think you would want that for them. I think you would be like, it's really a shame, you know? Kelly Clarkson's ex, Tom Arnold. Who's that? Anyway. Let's see. Now, if the woman's like cheated or something, you know, fuck that bitch. I'm not defending that, but I'm just talking about like, you know what I mean. Especially think in this era, it's like there was a lot of jobs women still couldn't even do. They couldn't even get, you know. Times used to be really, really bullshit. Anyway, I called Lucille Ball to ask for her advice. I told her, Lucy, I want to leave Sonny, and you're the only one I know that's ever been in this same situation. What should I do? Lucy and her husband had also become famous working together as stars on TV, and he was a huge womanizer too. Then Lucy had left him. She told me, fuck him. You're the one with the talent. David said I needed a lawyer, and I told him I had Irwin. No. He's Sonny's lawyer. You need your own lawyer, he said, and offered to pay for a good attorney. David called Joe D., who was actually about to start suing Sonny and me for his having been fired. David explained the situation and asked him to give me Mickey Rudin. Joe D. agreed and was happy to do it. Mickey Rudin was one of the smartest attorneys in Los Angeles. Get yourself a good lawyer. The man who represented Frank Sinatra and who also helped Lucy extricate herself from her marriage and TV show with Desi Arnaz. As part of their settlement, She bought out his stake in their company, Desilu, which she later sold for millions. Mickey advised me that the first thing I needed to do to break my contract was to file for divorce. I couldn't bring myself to just have my lawyer send Sonny a petition for divorce. I wanted to speak to him first and look him in the eye. Although it probably sounds bizarre, I was just thinking, I wonder if that how most people do it. Like, do you hire a process server to serve divorce papers? Or it would seem to me like you would do it yourself, but I don't know. Although it probably sounds bizarre, I was still locked into something inexplicable with Sonny. He was the father of my child, my one-time best friend, and a man I loved. Father figure, big brother, crazy cousin, and just all-around partner in my life. Okay, but your partner fucked you over, so put on your big girl panties. Whatever he'd done, however mad I was at him, I felt I owed it to him to speak to him myself and see if we could work out a solution between us. David told me I needed to tell him I wouldn't do the show unless I was made equal partner. At that point, I didn't want to do the show regardless. I was over it. Flying on fumes, I couldn't face Sonny at home, so I asked for a meeting in his office. I walked in, sat down, lit a cigarette, and stared at his face. Son, I've had someone look over my contract, and it says that I'm your employee. That can't be right, can it? How can I be an employee? I'm your partner, your wife. We created this whole thing together, and neither of us had anything when we met. So tell me they're wrong. Staring at me and lighting one of his stupid cigars, he didn't say a word. That would piss me off. I would be like, say fucking words. I want my half of the money, son. I'm only asking for what's fair. I had worked my entire life from being a teenager to now, and I had made nothing. I wanted what I'd earned, but his eyes were cold to me. There was none of that sparkle I'd once seen. You have to tear up that fucking contract, Sonny, and draw up a new one, I insisted. I have to be your partner, 50-50. To my surprise, Sonny shook his head and without any emotion said, I'm not going to do that, Cher. Oh my God, I pick up the fucking phone and throw it at the wall. Like, yes, you motherfucker. I was genuinely shocked by his response. Reasoning with me in a way that sounded almost rehearsed, he told me I didn't know what I was talking about and asked who was advising me. I knew I had to fight for my rights. I had a daughter to raise and a sister and a mother to worry about. If you don't agree to give me half the money and redo the contract, Sonny, I won't sign for another year with CBS. I won't do anything with you. I can't be working for nothing. Sonny shrugged. You'll get sued. I don't care. Well, CBS will renew any day, so let's see what you do then. I mean it, son, I told him, standing up and stubbing out my cigarette. I only want what's fair. He didn't think I'd ever throw away the show, but at that point, I couldn't go back no matter what. Sonny's face had always been jovial, and his eyes always had a little twinkle in them. Even if we get in a fight, right after, we'd be laughing again. This was a new version of him looking at me with no feeling, completely cold to me as if I was just anybody. I don't want to say he became a different person, but something about when he started smoking those cigars, he could look at me like I wasn't someone who loved him all those years. I left the room. Sonny was convinced CBS wouldn't drop us and that I'd come back, so he simply ignored me. It took me a while to finally ask him how he could have taken all my money when we were together. He simply shrugged and replied, I always knew you'd leave me. I told him that's not a real answer. Beyond taking my money, it was real cruelty to prevent me from making more. I never got an answer to what made him do that. When Sonny had met me, he had given up on being a star, but we became Sonny and Cher together. Then we lost it all as Sonny and Cher together. But I never left during the bad times. I slugged it out. I've said time and again, there will be no Cher without Sonny. But obviously, there will be no Sonny without Cher either. It was the day he heard me singing in the bedroom that everything began to crystallize for him. So how could he do what he did to me? When Sonny realized David had read the contract and was advising me, he got scared. And when he heard David had gotten me Mickey Rudin, Sonny knew he was in real trouble. He tried to push, coax, and reason with me, insisting he had always given me whatever I asked for. Oh my God, this needs to be a mini series or something. I want to see the scene when he realizes what is working for me. He tried to push, coax, and reason with me, insisting he had always given me whatever I asked for: clothes, jewelry, Ferraris, and the houses of my dreams. He threatened to sue me along with CBS, but we both knew they couldn't sue me for anything if I didn't have a dime. No longer able to trust Sonny, I decided to call Fred Silverman, the head of programming at CBS. David was pessimistic about this approach. He told me, "Sweetheart, people don't do things on your word. People do things by contract, and they can't draw a contract until the show is let go." I knew that, but I had to try. I got Freddie on the phone and said, "Freddie, it's me. I'm calling to tell you something, and I just need you to hear me out. I need you to not pick up the show." He was a little bit shocked. I'm sure that's the first time he'd heard that request in his life. Then I told him exactly what was happening. Nobody in their right mind would have broken up the Sonny and Cher comedy hour at that point. But I explained to Freddie that I couldn't go on as an employee of Cher Enterprises and promised him that I wouldn't go to another network. He said he'd think about it, and I believe he believed me. He definitely liked me, but had no real reason to trust me. Freddie barely knew me. He lived in New York and only once in a while visited the studio in LA to say hi. In the meantime, Sonny and I still had our current season to finish. The first time I went back to CBS, I was nervous. I hadn't taken 10 steps inside the building when I ran into Sonny. We stood facing each other in the corridor like gunslingers from high noon. "Hello, Swifty," he said, pulling a funny face. He then started to laugh, so I did too. That's how bizarre our connection was. When he wasn't being a dick, Sonny Bono was so amusing, I could almost love him. We were so accustomed to continuing with the show no matter what was happening in our personal lives that we did exactly what was expected of us and more. Although Sonny looked thinner and there were times when his smile didn't quite reach his eyes, he and I linked arms and sang, "Will You Love Me Tomorrow?" We managed to make it through the show before Sonny shook my hand with a formal, "Thank you very much, bud." Before he'd wrap filming for the season, I got a call back from Freddie. He said, "I hear you're making a deal with NBC for the Cher show." This was the first I'd heard of that. "That's not true," I told him. It turned out that someone was spreading rumors I already had a deal going with NBC. All I could do was tell the truth and hope he believed me. "I promise you, Freddie, if there ever is a Cher show, I'll do it with CBS. It's my home, and I don't want to go to the Valley." He laughed, and I think that made him trust I was being honest. I truly never would have done it with anybody else. Little did I know David had been talking to Freddie as well. By some miracle, Freddie agreed, and CBS didn't renew the show. The Sonny and Cher comedy hour would end for good March 1974. Season 4, which had been due to start that fall, was dead in the water. I'd sacrificed the show to save myself. Wow. And now I didn't realize David was really her hero here. Sonny and Irwin never thought I would do that. They lost their minds. "Do you know what you've done, Cher?" Sonny asked me in a voice that sounded unnatural to him. Sad, angry, and powerless. Soon after, Sonny told me I had to move out of the big house. He wanted to sell it and said that for publicity reasons, our real estate agent couldn't show the house with both me and him living there. For some reason, she had picked me as the one who would have to move out. I was starting to realize that people Sonny and I work with were loyal to him and not me. I would have much rather been the one to stay. He never wanted that house. It was my dream house and Chaz's home. The lease on the Malibu townhouse hadn't been renewed, so I had nowhere else to live and moved in with David for a little while. It never occurred to me to refuse to leave the big house because Sonny was so angry. I left without Chaz, knowing she'd be safe with Linda. I drove away with a small bag of clothes. When the press got hold of the news that CBS had canceled our show, they went crazy, and the coverage was brutal. Sonny was right. America wasn't happy. People were very disappointed. Those who blamed me didn't really know what it was like to be in my situation or how hard it had been. I don't know what I would have done without David, who was so loving and managed to take my mind off things. We went to dinners and to friends' houses, and he rented me a house out on Carbon Beach in Malibu. I think Dean Martin owned it at one time. It was behind a bicycle shop and had a fire pit on the beach, which was the backyard, so that was perfect for summer. That house was always full of people: Chaz, Linda, G, Paulette. It was fun and lively, always noisy. David assured me that I was better off living there away from the press and told me he'd take care of everything. He signed me up with his business manager, Jill Siegel, so that I had someone he trusted to run my affairs. He also persuaded me to stop smoking, well, at least cut back, by buying me a beautiful diamond chainmail ring like a mini slinky that rotated on my finger. The idea was that I could play with it instead of reaching for a cigarette. It was beautiful, and I still have it. When the gossip magazines got wind of his gift, they reported we were engaged, and though that thought wasn't in anybody's mind at that point. On January 21st, 1974, Sonny and I arrived together on stage to wrap up our final show, the 67th we had done together since 1972. It was to be aired a month later, on February 27th, and then there'd be one last show already in the can that would be broadcast in early March. People lined up outside CBS for hours, hoping to be part of the live audience for our final taping. I think I stopped there for the night, and we pick it up there Sunday. Let me show you where we're at.
Everybody's mad at me because I said community property isn't an evil concept to screw over men, but I just gotta be real. That's what I feel. Okay, so here's where we're at with the book. I would keep going, but I've been on over 2 hours, and some of y'all are gonna get sleepy. But here's where we're at. Like, oh man, this chapter's so interesting. I feel like it's setting up for an ending of kind of really ending this, so to speak, chapter, right, of her life, and really going on her own, probably going to be like separating with David, even of like becoming Cher, you know? God, this really needs to be into like a mini series. Netflix, pick this show. Cher, you already got the book. Sell the rights to, you know, anyway, not, or to net the broadcasting rights, you know. But who would play Cher, you know, besides me, right? Thank you, Jerry. Would a Sonny show even work? Well, Sonny went into politics, which seems to me that he had more interest in that Cher did, you know. But he got to try and experience, you know, stardom. Not everybody gets to experience that, even to see if they really are happier with that, or, you know. But I'm just trying to put myself in her shoes at that moment, like. But because sometimes you can, when you're angry enough, that it's like, yeah, I really will burn the shit down. And she said, it's like, what do I have to lose? What are you going to sue me for? You left me where I have no money. Like, what are you? Nobody's gonna put a lawsuit against me. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have no memory, obviously, of the time. So, like, I'm interested to know, like, wait, what happens next? I mean, I know she did the share show, so that's got to work out. But anyway, we'll see Sunday because tomorrow's call in. Wait, tomorrow is call in, and then I have date night. I didn't want to do date night until all that stuff is taken down, but at least I have that one company assigned. But then these these people would have some real fucking nerve to put up my date night if I do Saturday. But I think that company should be in business by then. The one, at least the one in America that works with Yugoslavia. The Rota, I'm still working on. I'm gonna have both. Anyway, I really could use the call in tomorrow. It'd be nice. You're seeing the movie in your head. Yeah, well, I'm gonna be sending you clips. I'm gonna be looking up clips of some stuff like we talked about tonight. So you can see it even more with the real time. So anyway. Thank you for hanging out. I love you so much. Get some sleep.